Secure the bag. Don't even blink, make them walk the plank. Light them up, let's make them sing. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. On Bucs, yeah, we on. Fire the cannons, fire the cannons, fire the cannons. The whole field's our red zone. Let me give you 55 reasons why this is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I'm joined by my co-host, my man, KB, Ken Barrett, not to be mistaken for Shaq Barrett. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing as well as a Bucs fan can do.
I know, man. You know, and we were talking about this off camera. I was ranting that the Bucs have never made it easy. And if you've been a Bucs fan for, I would say, so let's go back to 2009. We'll do it easy. You go back to 2009, and I can tell you that the Bucs have never done anything easy. There have been mathematic formulas where the Bucs, all they had to do was take care of business and put themselves in a position to go to the playoffs or something like that, and they could never do it. It's just been. Go ahead.
John Gruden.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
John Gruden, Raheem Morris, it's happened. Even again, it's just throughout history, outside, and let's eliminate the 2 Super Bowl runs, take them out of the equation, and what you see is the rule and not the exception. So again, here we are. And I don't know if you want to enlighten the fans on what the scenario is going into this week and how important this game is. I'll let you have the floor.
I don't know. Do you have an hour for me to go through all the scenarios? No, it's win and you're in. You lose, you're out. Because what's going to happen is one of the Falcons or the Saints is going to win.
Yeah.
So even if they tie and you lose, you're still lost.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose, exactly. And I think mathematically the Bucs can't get a wild card. So I mean, if they lose, they're just out, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's just game over. Yeah.
So, again, scenarios. There's one. What is it from Avengers Endgame and Doctor Strange? There's all the tens of millions of possibilities, and he holds up the one. There's only one, people.
And that's how it is, man. That's just crazy. G Vegas, what's going on? David Wash, how you doing, my friend? Will the Brewer, how are you doing, man? You know, that game was a division game, but it was hard to watch. I mean, it looked like the Bruce Arians Buccaneers facing the Saints, and you know, they just made the Saints look good. They came out flat. Devin White reverted back to his evil ways. They looked stagnant. They did not. I think they overthought this game to the point that it was out of reach before you knew it.
Yeah.
So I know I see the wheels turning. So go ahead. This is a safe zone. We don't talk about this. It's not a problem.
No, I have no comments, Gene. I have no comments. I've already had too stressful of a 20.
It's interesting, man, because somebody, I love social media. Social media is so crazy. And you know me, I never go back and forth with anybody. I normally don't. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll make a smart ass comment or something like that, and I'll just move on or whatever. But this guy told me that I was a bandwagon fan, and that just like, I was like, who is this? It's a random guy that just showed up, and he's like, oh yeah,
just mute the people. That's all. That's. And I know
it's one of those things where I had time. I was just like irritated about just everything that had happened. So, I engaged. I probably shouldn't have, looking back on it, hindsight. But he ended up getting muted. But again, that's for another day. Just kind of getting back to the game. Did you see any positives in this game that you could just like, and again, I don't believe in moral victories, but there are players. There will always be players that play good in a bad game. Did you see that, or what was your takeaway from this game?
Chase Edmonds. Yeah.
Yeah, I could
I'm,
ride
I'm,
with
I'm, I'm not including anything prior to the Trey Palmer fumble or anything after the Trey Palmer fumble because, and I don't even think that's Trey Palmer's fault. He wouldn't be a disappointment to me. I thought Trey Palmer had a really good game.
Yeah.
Anyone who is pissed off about him fumbling that in that position, I'm sorry. The dude, like, basically borderline laid out, was able to magically keep balance, and he created enough separation that no Saints defender was able to touch him.
Right.
Like, what do you want from the kid? Like, if Mike Evans did that, I bet you there wouldn't be that type of response.
Yeah. The way what I took away from it is just one of those plays. He's a young player. He's very talented. I think that he's a hell of an upgrade from Scotty Miller. We moved on. I mean, Trey Palmer made you forget about Scotty Miller until you had to see him with Atlanta or something like that.
Well, it came full circle because who did that against the Bucs last year? And it was in the same situation that everyone talks about is the best receiver in the division, not named Mike Evans, because we just ignore anything else. But Chris Olave did that against us last year. Or last year. Chris Olave beats Dean or Davis, whoever was guarding him, down on a streak, literally fumbles it as he's like catches it, does the same type of thing, fumbles before he goes out of bounds. We pick it up. I think it was Dean.
Yeah, I think
it was sealed. When Trey Palmer did that, it was a hell of a play. It was unfortunate, but it sealed the game.
Yep.
Like Chris Godwin had that 45-yard touchdown. Great. And I love Chris Godwin. The game was over.
Yeah, it was after the fact. What a lot of people call your garbage time. Dalvin Cook was signed by the Baltimore Ravens, so he is going to be a Raven through the playoffs. So all of my Florida State faithful, the Bucs don't make it. There's your guy. You can, whatever. But anyway, King Cook, how you doing, Mr. Bucs, Mr. Everything Bucs, Bud Cannibalist? What do you do? This is a game. You need this game. Baker Mayfield is not 100%.
I don't think he's 50, Gene.
I think we could see Kyle Trask.
No, I think Baker's going to gut it, but I don't think Baker's going to attempt to throw more like 5. He's not going to attempt 5 throws over 10 yards, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to run Rashad like 30 rushes, personally.
Man, I don't know how I feel about this game, man. I'm just like last week. I'm ready to set up the.
Can I be your optimist? Can I be your optimist?
Yeah. Talk me off the ledge, man. Talk me off the ledge.
Gene, we already know what happens if we win, right? You get to celebrate. You get to go to the playoffs. All that type of fun stuff. If you lose, Todd Bowles, you would have lost to a team who didn't even tank for the number 1 overall pick. Mind you, because they didn't have the number 1 overall pick. They didn't have a first-round pick. They're so bad that they had the number 1 pick, but they didn't even try to get the number 1 overall pick.
Yep.
So if you lose to that, I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if Baker Mayfield's 50%, man. Like, Bryce Young has only looked good in 2 games.
Yeah.
The Packers and the Bucs. Yeah, I wouldn't say he was good against us, but those were his 2 best performances against the year. The Packers was actually a good statistical game, which we found out most quarterbacks are having very good statistical games against the Packers. So, like, the optimistic, even if we lose, is if you're the Glazers, there's no, Todd, we could have done this, to help you. It was like, bro, the owner of the Panthers is so pissed off. He's willing to throw away 6 figures to throw drinks on fans.
I think if you look at his numbers, though, if you look at his what he's worth, that's like
Oh no, it's the equivalent of a $10 beer at a sporting event. Like, that's fine. But my whole point with that is he's so frustrated at how bad his team is that he's out doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's how bad this team is. And if you lose to that team, Like I can handle losing to the Saints, right? Like we've won 3 of the past 4 now. Is Todd Bowles is now not undefeated against the Saints. Like whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like you're gonna if you go 50-50 each year in the division, like you're fine. Like we lost to the Falcons, we lost to the Saints this year. It happens, right?
Yeah.
So if you win, you're 4-2 in the division. But if you lose to the worst possible team that you could absolutely play to get into the playoffs it's not like if they win and they need 3 other scenarios.
Nah.
Like this is
as cut and dry as you can get it.
That's what I mean. If you can't win this game, why would you give Todd more things?
You really can't. I mean, you can't justify it.
That's what I mean. I think it's win-win.
And if you think about it, and just being honest, last week we were ready to throw the guy a party, and I was ready to admit I was wrong about questioning him and all this other stuff, and I'm wrong again. I don't mind being wrong. I don't mind being wrong. But I will say this: you're spot on. I really believe with Todd, you haven't had any significant injuries. Number one, you haven't had any you've had Vita Vea in the past, or
you've had a quarterback play full 17 games. I'm assuming he's playing.
Right. There's no excuse for it. There just isn't. And so
Mike Evans, missed 1 game. Tristan Wirfs hasn't missed a game. Levante David missed 1 game. Your cornerbacks have been an issue, but you've had Zion step up, so it's not really an issue.
Yeah.
Antoine Winfield, missed 1 game? We're talking about teams like the Bengals who are competitive with Jake Browning. We're talking about, look at the Rams.
Yeah.
The same exact situation. Everyone thought Sean McVay was going to retire. They were going to sell Stafford and Donald. They literally have their entire roster as undrafted rookies. They sealed their fate in the playoffs in a tougher division.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback contract right now in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
What more? If you give Todd Bowles Kirk Cousins, what makes you think it's going to be better next year than this year? If you give Todd Bowles Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, what makes you think that that's what's going to make it better either?
Yeah. And I mean, here's the point blank question. When you look at the Buccaneers and any NFL team, and you look at that coach, the guy that's the leader among men, could he lead a team to a Super Bowl? Todd Bowles.
No.
Exactly.
You know why? And I say that not because I don't dislike Todd. It's not that I don't think, as I've been advocating for Todd. If Bruce Arians retired, he was going to be the successor. Yeah. I thought he deserved this year. All of that is laid out there. I'm on the record with all that.
Yep.
With Todd Bowles, what he doesn't do well is he doesn't know how to situationally handle a game. And it's not like he's Dave Canales, who's never really been thrown into the fire. Todd Bowles had 4 years of relevancy in Arizona, was a head coach in New York, and then had the 3-year run with the Bucs before he became a head coach.
Yeah.
He's been around the game enough to understand what you can and cannot do in situations. I don't trust him when you're playing, let's just say, the top 4 teams in your conference to get to a Super Bowl. I don't trust him in any of those situations, because you know why those teams are in those situations? Their QB, their coach, their personnel. We have had everything perfect, even with Brady. And I'm sorry about the Rams game, but Todd Bowles was the reason why we lost the game. We got lucky turnovers to even stay in the game. But Todd Bowles' situational analysis is the reason why we lost it.
Yeah, there's just, again, nothing you can really do about it.
I mean, how many timeouts? If I had $1 for each timeout he has saved before halftime,
he's got about.
I've seen him concede games with 2 timeouts a minute 30, and it's 3rd down.
Yeah,
you have a chance to get the ball.
And I think what soured me on Todd was last year, and I can't remember what game it was, but Todd was playing for going into overtime, and he wasn't. And
was it the Steelers? Is that what it was? He gave up. Was it the Steelers?
I think it might have been the Steelers, but Todd went like ultra conservative, like, hey, I trust my defense and we're gonna put ourselves in that position, and I think we can do it. But again, man, this guy, when he's got the lead, and we saw that on the winning streak, when the game is in control and the game is in hand, Todd is not afraid to go out there and call the game. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to take chances or make risks, because they're, low risk, high reward kind of thing. So
Browns.
it was the Browns. That's what it was.
Did I say Bengals? I meant Browns.
No, yeah.
I don't know what I said.
And that was the game. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm just like, are you serious?
Well, he also had 3 3rd and 10 pluses with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback that he couldn't get off the field in the last 5 minutes. And then he allowed the David Njoku touchdown. Bro, again, I just think as a head coach, we're talking. It's my fault. I've been talking a lot about his defensive play calls, but just as a head coach, CEO,
body of work.
If Todd Bowles is my CEO, I'm updating my resume. Is the best way I would describe it.
That's all you can do, man.
And I'm not saying the players don't like him. That's admirable qualities. I don't think every player liked Bruce Arians. I'm sorry. I don't think every player liked John Gruden. I think every player liking Tony Dungy was probably part of his downfall in Tampa.
Yep. Raheem Morris.
I'm not saying you have to be Greg Schiano here, but
I mean, when you look at Raheem Morris going to the club with the players and stuff, I mean, there's just that. It's one of those things. So,
are you talking about Raheem Morris? Who is Raheem Morris an enabler for?
Josh Freeman.
And who's Todd Bowles an enabler for?
Devin White.
That tells me something's wrong. Who is Bruce Arians an enabler for? Because I can name every player, including Tom Brady, who called out to the media. He almost kicked Leonard Fournette off the team. That's a CEO. It's like it's not show friends, it's show business.
Yep. And there's nothing you can really do about it, man. I mean, it's just crazy. Just where we are. So I did want to get back to this and get your thoughts. It was about that Honey Badger.
Sorry.
Honey Badger. I'm just shocked that he didn't get thrown out of the game.
It wasn't even called a penalty, was it?
I think it was a roughing. It wasn't a roughing.
Okay, it was. Okay. At least he got a penalty.
Or at least I thought there was.
I haven't heard anything about a fine yet, but yeah, I don't think it was I don't think it was Bountygate, but I mean, I think it was pretty Bush League. But
yeah.
I mean, I would take, I'm sorry, Baker, but I would take that hit over what happened to Chris Godwin 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that one was more of a targeting. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? That's what it's it was I hated seeing, and I'm really sad that Baker is going to tough out this game. It was a Bush League hit, but it's also a football play. We also celebrate John Lynch, and I know it's a different era that John Lynch played in, but I don't think it was that egregious. For instance, that Colorado State hit against Travis Hunter.
Oh yeah.
To me, even though it's a kid who's not trying to, I think the kid was not trying to personally injure Travis Hunter, but that's a football play gone wrong. I think what happened with Tyron was a penalty and probably a fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm just
and again, we haven't heard anything about that, so it's kind of.
But they usually do fine any type of personal foul. So they've even called or given fines for players blocking.
There was a running back. There was
a running back putting his head down was a fine.
Again, the league is. I think the referees are too involved in the game. And again, I have zero confidence in I have zero trust in the referees. Even if it's, the Bucs are winning, it may be a call be a call for the Bucs. The referees are still horrible and they're inconsistent.
Lions, Cowboys.
The Lions. Oh my God!
As an offensive lineman, Gene,
I would have lost my mind.
You literally go up to these refs and you look them in the eyes and say, "Hi, I, number 70, am eligible." Like you're literally, and they have a microphone where they go, "Number 70 is," and that was my number in college. That's why I'm saying 70. I think it was 68 in the game. But like number 70 is reporting eligible. They haven't released any video or audio, but they don't have released the audio, but like the video literally shows the offensive lineman who is reporting eligible saying, "Hi, ref, I'm eligible." The ref, or the one who the ref claims was not eligible, is at the huddle.
Yeah. Again, man, there's
their punishment, Gene, is to not ref in the playoffs, but they're reffing a primetime game Saturday.
Yep. That could have implications on a playoff.
But Pittsburgh needs a win, and Ravens aren't playing anyone. If Pittsburgh gets screwed because of the ref situation, I mean, if I'm in Pittsburgh and that's the ref doing my team, like I'm pretty furious.
You know, and I'm gonna say this. I've been saying this for years. If you've watched the show, you know what I'm gonna say. You need permanent refs. Number one, the refs need full-time refs, and there needs to be an independent body that handles discipline for refs. That's the only way that I know it's not going to happen ever, because I said the same thing about the punishments and fines that players get from the NFL. Everything is so inconsistent. There is no way. I mean, it just questions the credibility of the league as a whole, because
there's gambling.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that when you throw in gambling, what are the chances that somebody hasn't been in a ref's ear? Seriously? And this is something that really needs to be talked about, because this is we've already seen on record. I know it's basketball, but it's happened. And don't think for 1 minute that they haven't gotten more sophisticated to do more things. I just question some of these calls. And it makes me wonder, are they incompetent, or is there something more to this?
Well, it's never a call at the 5 minutes left in the first quarter. It's always these calls where it's the end of the game. Team has one opportunity to do something. That's when these calls happen. It's just like, no, come on.
Stabby Inc. I like this. Win and in, lose and you're fired. That's the way it should be. I think we've seen enough. I think we've seen enough of Todd, and how inconsistent and roller coaster this season has been. I don't see how fans could suffer through another season like this, especially with a shout out to all you people that get to go to games and the season ticket holders, and considering what the ticket prices are just ridiculous. So
speaking of, I've seen a couple comments asking me if I'm going to the game. I told myself if they beat the Saints, I would go. Last year, I went to the Carolina game where PJ Walker destroyed us, where I was like 3 rows up. I told myself if we were winning then against the Panthers, I wasn't going to go. I'm sorry. It's not worth boarding my dog. And then heaven forbid we lose. Heaven forbid we lose. That's a 2.5-hour drive back for me. And I would not be very happy.
Exactly.
So I'd rather take the risk and not go. And just if we lose, then I can turn on Red Zone, watch the 4:00 slate.
Do you? I want to ask this question. David Walsh has an interesting question here. I believe Todd Bowles is directing Dave Canales too much. That is why Baker struggled until the fourth quarter. Look at the stats, run, pass.
Okay. So my comeback there, David, and remember, I have my issues with Dave and Todd separately here as well. Dave comes, if you watch what Shane Waldron does in Seattle, it is not what occurs in Tampa Bay. And that's the guy who mentored him and prepared him for this role. Now, I'm not going to accuse Todd But what do we know about Todd? Todd told explicitly, and this is coming from the run game coordinator to Rick Stroud, like this is out there, that Todd Bowles told Byron, you must run the ball this number of times. No matter what, you're going to run the ball this circle number. I don't know if Dave's just taking that to heart. Maybe he should have a little bit more of a, I think we've seen him get emotional when he talks about Todd giving him an opportunity. I'm not saying Dave is in the wrong here or in the right, but whatever is going on, it looks super bad when you're down, because this isn't the first time it's happened either, where we're down multiple scores and we're running on, 2nd and 20, like you have zero opportunity of getting those types of situations. Yeah. So I'm going to say, I don't think Todd Bowles, to steal what happened 3 years ago, is redlining shit. Mm-hmm. But I think he provides the philosophy.
He's got his thumb on the scale.
And probably a number circled on Dave's desk on a piece of paper that says, like, let's just say 24. This week, you're running the ball 24 times. I think that is because and I say that only because we know that from what happened with Byron and how unhappy some of the staff was about that.
And what's intriguing here is when you look back at last year, his play calling was changed because he didn't trust the offensive coordinator, allegedly.
Also, I think Todd Bowles is a different coach without Bruce Arians, too. I think Bruce Arians deserves 3 fucking gold jackets. Yeah. 2 for what he did in Tampa, and 1 what he did for everyone else.
Exactly.
Or where he did it, like being coach of the year, what he did with the Cardinals, and just being good on what he did with the Steelers. Like, all that deserves a gold jacket. But doing what he did with Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, that's gold jacket material.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. And then you get 1 for the Super Bowl. So give him 3 for all I can.
Yeah, there you go. And that makes sense too. But at the end of the day, I think as fans, I think we've seen more than enough. We've seen more than enough. So it's kind of one of those things where it is time to see what else is out there. And I don't know. This is a game the Bucs needed. To me, it was kind of a defining game. And last week, I know you guys heard me say it, the Bucs always take the hardest way out of stuff. And I stood by that, because I've seen, I don't know how many times where the Bucs win, we're not having this conversation. I'm sitting here apologizing to Byron, or no, Jesus, Byron, I got Byron on the brain, to Baker, and I'm apologizing to Baker and Todd Bowles because I was wrong, and because I questioned, Todd Bowles at the beginning of the year, man. I'm like, man, this guy, out of everybody, he's got the biggest question mark to me. And then, 3 games in, and he's making me look bad. And so I'm like, well, maybe I was wrong about him. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have this other spat of games where Todd Bowles is the New York Jets Todd Bowles of old. And then we're seeing that product on the field. And then they put together some wins, and,
But here's the thing. He didn't want to talk about those losses being, snowballed. What was longer, the losing streak or the winning streak?
The losing streak. Yeah. So
if you weren't playing the Falcons twice a year, the Panthers twice a year, I mean, what, in a really good scenario, we're the 5 and 6 win team that people probably projected us to be?
And with
because the Jaguars, watch what we did to them. Watch what Jaguars did to Carolina. If he goes out and loses, that tells me that streak was fake, the winning one.
So, I don't know. And let's see.
Tomlin ain't going anywhere, people. The last comment was about Mike Tomlin.
Oh, no. Tomlin got a winning record. What is that, 17 games?
The Bucs have had this streak, and we're still complaining and everything. Yeah, you can say the Steelers are in mediocrity. I wouldn't say mediocrity, but mediocrity. But like they still win double-digit games every year. If it's ugly, now imagine if he hired a good offensive coordinator, which apparently is a Greg Schiano disciple, and their offense has been on crack with Mason Rudolph.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah, make sense. So again, that goes back to coaching right there. And the Bucs, we've seen it. When you got a good general manager, you've got a good head coach, you got a good staff. We've seen what can happen with all those products kind of working together. I mean, when with Tom Brady coming here, and I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that.
Jameis won what 7-9 with 30 interceptions. I think your team around that had to be pretty okay too.
Exactly.
She had 33 touchdowns. Okay. Josh Allen's getting criticized for 15 interceptions here.
Yep.
People. And that's why he's not an MVP candidate. So you can't.
So what did Jameis ended up with like over 5,000 yards that year, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
That's just crazy. And
He's
again,
one of 5 quarterbacks that have ever done it. But
Yep.
it's really difficult when you're passing for 500 yards a game and you have like 6 points on the board.
Yeah.
It goes
You're
both
not
ways.
closing the deal. So I don't know.
I remember people complaining when Fitzmagic and Dirk Cutter had 500 yards of offense, and I was at the game against the formerly known as Washington Redskins, and they only had 3 points.
Yep.
So again, you can't have these narratives both ways.
Yeah. So again, I don't know what you do here. Now, let me ask you this, because I love Jason Light. I love what he's done for this team in his time here. Is ownership looking at him in any capacity as far as, do we move on from him?
My comeback to that, and I know there's a lot of fans that are doing that. My comeback to that would be, where would this organization be without Jason Light?
No doubt. And that's my whole thing.
Go back to the Mark Dominic era? Is that what you want?
Or Bruce Allen's dumbass?
But that's my thing. Who's going to come? What NFL GM is going to come in and do better than what Jason Light has?
That's always my argument on social media is who you replace him with. When I hear people say, "Oh, he's got to go," or "He's got to go," I mean, there's some guys out here right now that could come into Tampa that I feel like with their offensive philosophy, they could do a lot in Tampa. There are guys out here right now. And, as far as general manager goes, talent evaluation, I have not had a problem with Jason Light. I think what Jason Light accomplished this season put him head and shoulders above any other general manager that's ever sat behind a Buccaneers desk. And I say that, I'm not just throwing names out here because, Rich McKay was my guy. I felt like Rich McKay should have been in the Ring of Honor, but I'm going to tell you, and not before Jason Light. There is no way Rich McKay would ever go in before Jason Light because of what he's accomplished. I mean, what was he, $81 million over the cap?
And that's before Ryan Jensen.
Yeah, $81 million over the cap. And this guy is making moves and putting out a competitive product. And we're not even talking about your undrafted free agents. We're just, we're talking about the draft. And
Antoine Winfield. Imagine if instead of Antoine Winfield or Tristan Wirfs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the pick, because that's what fans were clamoring for.
Yep.
Imagine those same people are complaining why Antoine Winfield's not a Pro Bowler right now.
Yep. That's just like, Derwin James. I'm looking at Derwin James right now. And then, you look at
Vita Vea is having it down here, and I will take Vita Vea right now.
100%. and think about this. This was my argument when everybody was saying Derwin James. Derwin James you can't put him in the trenches. Derwin James that's where you needed the help right there, was in the trenches. And that was the smartest move they could have done, was go with Vita Vea. I know a lot of people, have school loyalties or whatever the hell, but
it wasn't just Vita Vea though, too, Gene. They could have taken him at 7. They traded back, still got Vita Vea, and got Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean.
Yeah, Make it make sense.
Dean technically was later, but they got the other corner. What's his name? That played for like the Browns.
Yeah.
But okay, but the point is,
yeah,
you got a cornerback who got to a second contract, like as well. Let's just say it's just Carlton Davis that was with that.
Right.
Like, okay, or Derwin James. Give me the latter.
Yeah.
Or give me the former, excuse me. Give me
and you know, I know that Vita's had his issues with health, but I think he's been on the field a whole lot more than Derwin James has. And yeah, again, I could be wrong, but every time I watch the, this, I want to say San Diego, geez, the LA Chargers, he's not on the field. It's either him or Nick Bosa that's injured. And so it's just like, I don't know, man. What Jason Light has done, undrafted free agents, Izzian, just a lot of the guys that he's brought in, they've just come in and contributed to this team. So, I would not trade him. I don't see where the value would be in getting rid of a Jason Light.
No, and then like to David's point, he just had that comment underneath there. Okay, yeah, he missed on Logan Hall. What did he do the next year? Kalijah Kancey. And he paired him with Yaya Diaby, who he missed on JTS probably with. Like,
you know what? I'm going to say this. Logan Hall may just have a slower trajectory, but he seems to be getting a little bit more aggressive, and he's made some plays. And as much as I have roasted the guy,
2 years. He has 2 years.
Yeah,
on a cheap contract. What? No 5th-year options with him. He was a 33rd pick, which that safety, which everyone thought the Bucs were going to draft, that went to Minnesota. He's like 6th on the depth chart right now. The kid from Georgia, or Bama, wherever he was from. I forgot his name.
So I say this to say this: when you look at Jason Light's body of work from the beginning of his tenure, after they brought in Lovey and then you bring in Jason, the cupboard was bare. Offensive line, defensive line, the cupboard was bare. I think Levante David was the only bright spot on that team, with Jason Light coming into the organization. And what they've built is just, it made you, I tell you what, if you've been a Bucs fan for a long time, what Jason Light has come in and done personnel wise has made you forget about all the deficiencies that you saw for the previous 8-9 years prior to.
Yeah. Not only that, and I know it's become a cliche, but he also built a team that attracted one named Tom Brady. Tom Brady wasn't going to go to some shitty situation.
Yeah, he wasn't about to rebuild.
They were missing a right tackle and a free safety for Todd Bowles' defense.
Yep.
Light went gold jacket, and if he gets enough Pro Bowls and All Pros, another gold jacket.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, if you're talking about a general manager that deserves to be in the Ring of Honor, it's no longer Rich McKay. It is Jason Light, 100%.
I agree.
And I would argue that with anybody. And
there's maybe 3 other GMs in the NFL that are probably, you could argue, greater or equal to. So what are you upgrading? And you lose probably Mike Greenberg if Light walks out that door, mind you.
And what is, I keep forgetting, what is the lady's name that works
Jackie
with
Davidson?
Jackie, yeah. Jackie.
You lose Jackie Davidson, you lose Mike Greenberg, you lose all of your really good scouts that have really dipped into these, again, we've done really well in Washington. We're not going, what did John Gruden do when he was at the Raiders? We're only drafting Georgia, Bama, and Clemson players. And how did that work out?
Exactly.
Light has scouts in Washington, LSU, like that's where they're getting a lot of the good players from.
Right. And what about the offensive linemen that they're getting from the small schools? Look at Alex Kappa when Alex Kappa came in.
How about one named Ali Marpet?
Ali Marpet. And
Ryan Jensen in free agency, Shaq Barrett in free agency, Jason Pierre-Paul via trade, Gronk via trade, Tom Brady via free agency, Ndamukong Suh via free agency. What do you want?
Yeah. I mean,
What have the Chiefs done other than draft Tyreek Hill, draft Travis Kelce, and pair them with Andy Reid with Mahomes?
Yeah.
What have the Chiefs done that have been so revolutionary? Because Travis Kelce gets old and you trade Tyreek Hill, what happens? Jason's Lights not letting good players out of the door. Ndamukong Suh is not signing with anyone. The D-tackle Akeem Hicks that we signed last year, not signing with anyone.
Yep.
Like, he recognizes his mistakes. He moves on. And the whole Bill Belichick thing, like, you want to move on a year too early. He's gotten those players on 1-year deals. So if they suck, you can go. Everyone hates, Ryan Neal. Ryan Neal ain't going to be on the damn roster next year because he didn't tie up stupid money into him.
Exactly. And then when you look at our division rivals, I mean, if you look right now, the Saints are still kicking the can down the road.
They're just as screwed this year. What's his? I forgot the best Saints guy to like follow. He's like the only him and Bob are like the
Bob Rose?
Not Bob Rose, but the guy who really I forgot his name. Nick Underhill is his name or something like that. Yeah, he's the only like Saint. Him and Bob and John are like the only 3 Saints people that I follow. And Nick Underhill is literally. They've already restructured Marshawn Lattimore's contract for next year, Gene. They've already restructured it, and it's to trade him.
And they're getting ready to restructure Derek Carr's contract too,
and probably Kamara's again, and Demario Davis's again, and Cam Jordan's again, and it's just like, and Marshawn's not even going to be playing for them most likely. So you're restructuring and paying all these players that aren't even paying for you. We're just paying Tom Brady, who gave us the Super Bowl.
And again, but this is what gets me. We're in salary cap hell, allegedly, but you got a team that's vying for a playoffs, and you got people who are saying the Bucs are going to win 2 games, 1 game, 3 games.
Who was predicted to win the division this year?
The Saints
by a pretty wide margin, right?
Yeah.
Who's predicted to be in second?
Carolina.
No.
Was it Atlanta?
Atlanta was actually the underdog darling. You bet on them to like make the Super Bowl at like ridiculous odds.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, great. Okay. The Bucs have a better record than both of them. Just throwing that out there. Or the same record. Yeah. And then the team that was picked third happens to have the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. So again, like what more do fans want?
I don't know. I think you kind of have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of everything. And again, like I said, I expect the Bucs to take the hard way to get to wherever they're going. And I don't have a problem with it. This has been a fun season. I had very low expectations, and the Bucs have exceeded all my expectations this season. And it actually has made football fun this season. With Baker, with the running game emerging, with Mike Evans doing what he's done. I would love to see Rashad get 1,000 yards. I would love to see Chris Godwin get 1,000 yards. I mean, that would complete the season for me. And I really wanted him to sweep Atlanta because everybody hates the Saints, but I hate Atlanta more. In for those of you new to the show, you haven't followed, I hate Atlanta. And I've hated Atlanta since.
Pray they win so they can keep Arthur Smith, so we can keep Dennis Allen, we can keep Arthur Smith, and then we can either have Todd Bowles, who's won a division, or you go get the next best thing that's out there. Because I can tell you, as we say, there's probably not, 3 or 4 other GMs maybe that are even in Lights League. There's going to be a lot of head coaches that are in Todd Bowles' league.
Yep.
We saw with Dave Canales, who's never called a play offensively and has a quarterback that everyone gave up on. And what he did with, other than Chris and Mike and Tristan, there's not really that much that you walked into the season and was like, yeah, the Bucs, baby. The Bucs.
Yeah.
That offense is going to be killer, Gene.
Yeah.
Like, no one was saying that. And then nobody comes in who's never called plays before at the college or NFL level.
And he's doing what he's doing.
Can't come in and do better than what Todd's doing from a game management perspective.
Yeah.
And playing more modern offense and defense, like our offensive court. Okay, I take that back because Canales has not really played to the modern offensive style, especially last week. So I won't give him that credit. But my point is, you can find someone that can manage a game better than Todd.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you put me in. And
I'm probably gonna get crap for this, but like the whole after a win, I'm sorry, that doesn't do it for me. Yeah. Like when my coach, I'm not saying everyone has to be Dan Campbell here, but when my coach is giving that speech after a win, like I want Stone Cold Steve Austin music in the background, or I want to hear like The Rock says, where I'm like, I remember okay, I played at Bucknell, people, mind you. When we won a game, you knew we won a game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying the players don't like the coaches. Like, I'm not saying that. But yeah, he's not Macho Man. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so again, man, it remains to be seen what's going to happen. The Bucs have everything in their favor to win this game, to go out and win this game.
And if you don't, like,
I mean, and even if they did, put in Trask, which
honestly, but that to me is even better. If I'm Baker and I'm not healthy enough to play, that is what we call leverage, ladies and gentlemen. It's what he missed out on in Cleveland.
Yep.
Like if I'm Baker, and I love Baker, if you're not healthy to play, I'm sorry. Like you can't make a pass over 10 yards.
You don't need to be out there.
Sorry. And the thing about a backup quarterback, and I heard this on Rick Stroud's podcast this morning, you have a backup quarterback not to win 8 games in a season, because that's usually if your backup's in for 8 games, you probably lost the season. You have them in to win 1 game, and it's against the worst team in the NFL. So if Kyle Trask comes out there and plays like doggy doo-doo, not only is his career over, but Baker's just sitting there just like.
And you've answered countless questions
without even having to play hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this because I'm not saying Baker's not playing because he really rolled his ankle or, got sacked by Gerald McCoy and picked up off the ground. I'm not saying that. Tyrann Mathieu gave him a hit, and I can guarantee you he's in a lot of pain.
Dude, have you ever had
Drew Brees look like when he was playing through that
you playing in a high level, have you ever had that injury?
No, because I'm an offensive lineman, man. I saw my quarterback's ribs a couple times after games, and they don't look pretty. And I know what Drew Brees went through with the New Orleans. Like he was playing through like broken cartilage and cracked ribs. Like you can die from that shit, Gene. I'm not saying Baker has bruised or cracked ribs, but he definitely has an injury. There's a difference between being hurt and injured. Baker has an injury, and that's coming from me, mind you. Everyone says I'm the biggest Baker hater on Twitter.
Yeah. I've been depleted before, just so you understand. 150 pounds, and you're running up the middle, and you put your hand out there trying to be cute and catch the ball, and you take that hit. And I'm telling you, you get hit right in here. You can't lift your arm, you can't breathe, you can't laugh, you can't cry, you can't go to the bathroom. Everything hurts. Even thinking about a side injury hurts. And I'm here to tell you right now, I can't even imagine he's playing at such a high level. And when you have to run, if he has to turn around, if he has to run out of the pocket.
And what's Baker's best ability? His ability to maneuver around the pocket.
Exactly.
And we've seen him when he's been injured. That's when he's been at his worst.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And just like Bud is saying here, you have to twist the torso to throw the ball. There will be times where he's getting rushed and he's going to have to make one of those weird, awkward throws. And I'm telling you, that is pure pain.
But
And
Baker also knows that because remember in Cleveland, his injury wasn't on his throwing right shoulder.
Mhm.
It was on his other shoulder because you need your other shoulder
Yes,
to have leverage. And when you throw a ball, that's what's open to you. It's like you're not a
yeah.
boxer where you can like stop that. Like you need your arm, like a baseball player, to come through the ball with you. You're not blocking that area as well.
Yeah. And
And like
that's
Bud is
but
saying,
that's
yeah,
what
you
that's
get
kind
the
of
fish,
goes
you
back
got
to
to duck. You see all those Jameis drills where he's doing all that
yeah.
crazy shit. Well, in a sense, quarterbacks got to do some of that stuff. Like you got to be able to maneuver. Tom Brady was doing that. Like the duck.
I tried that Jameis drill and I was exhausted. It didn't do anything for me. Will the Brewer, glad you were able to come on, man. And yeah, and 2024, Will the Brewer is going to come up with a beer for me. Buck what you heard beer. I'm really hoping he does. But kind of getting back to the Jameis drills, that stuff was so funny. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for me.
But my point is, it's still there's some of those in the Jameis drills are movements that a quarterback has to do to maneuver around the pocket.
Yeah.
Each time Baker does that, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna feel like someone took a knife and stabbed him right there every time he does one of those movements.
And when you look at the team as a whole, you have a backup quarterback there for a reason. Like you said, one game.
Oh, I like Mr. Everything Bucks comment there.
Yeah.
Because what if he does play and you make the playoffs, but Baker's hurt?
I would shut him down for
the Eagles or the Cowboys. You want to give Michael Parsons that area to hit?
No.
You want to give Jalen Carter that area to hit?
That's my whole thing. I really believe that Trask should be out there on the field. This is opportunity,
Well, assuming Baker is if Baker can't be 70%, Trask should be on that field.
Look, if you remember the Cleveland Browns, when Baker went out there playing hurt, it killed his stock. It killed his free agency stock because everybody thought Baker was trash when he was hurt. I shouldn't say hurt, but he was injured. And that is what has to be factored in here. And I think if Baker was smart, like you said, you talk about leverage, you put Baker Mayfield out, you put him on the sidelines and let Trask go. If Trask looks like dog shit, well, you know what? Baker's like, you know what? You guys have me and I know the system, but we've seen what you have from a guy with the game on the line, with an important game on the line. You see what you have with him. What are we going to do here next year?
Well, and Gene, even then. So let's say hypothetically, and again, everything I'm saying, at least in this scenario, is operating on Baker not being at least 70%, because I believe Baker is hurt. And I think Dave Canales probably made it seem like he wasn't as much today. I know Baker has been like, yeah, I'm in some pain, like whatever. No, what NFL player says that? They're in a lot of freaking pain. So who else really believes in Baker Mayfield in this league? And who is the offensive coordinator for the Super Bowl favorites and for the MVP of the league right now? Mr. Todd Monken, who tried to sign Baker as Lamar's backup or in case they traded Lamar. So from Baker's standpoint, I'm not saying Baker should sit out this game. Again, if he's 70% or better, he should play.
Mm-hmm.
But from a Baker standpoint, if he's not 70% and he goes out there and plays like absolute dog shit, he's in the same exact situation he was in last year, but slightly better.
Exactly.
That's the difference between everyone saying Baker deserves that 2 to 3+ year contract right now. If he goes out on Sunday and plays like dog shit against the worst team in the NFL, that's what Jameis Winston, that's the lasting memory people have going
into versus the Atlanta Falcons, last game of the season.
And he's back to signing a 1-year, $4 million prove it deal with the next team.
Yeah.
If he goes out and
he has to, this is a far-reaching decision right here. It's not just, I'm going to sit out. No, you're showing the organization just how good you are by letting this other guy come in if he can't, he can't get it done, then that just is a good reflection on you. Again, he's proven what he can do. I know a lot of people have not been happy with some of his play. Again, that's Baker Mayfield is Baker Mayfield. And he far exceeded my expectations because if you know me, I was indifferent about the move to bring him in. And one thing I wanted to do, I'm looking through some of the teams in the NFL, and I just kind of want to get your opinion. When you look at teams like Denver, could Denver use a Baker Mayfield?
What is Denver going to need if they get rid of good old Russell Wilson?
Yeah, they're
a cheap guy. A cheap guy. What is Baker if they lose and he plays like crap? A cheap guy. Yep. Yeah, I think Sean Payton could do enough with Baker.
I really do too. I think the fact that he can make plays with his legs, I think that would be, that ultimately would be a good fit.
Well, Denver doesn't really have the draft capital because remember they're still recovering from that trade to, from sending stuff to Seattle for Russ. Then they have to pay Russ like $120 million in dead cap. That's why they're sitting him. So everyone thinks the Bucs have a problem with Tom Brady for 3 years and winning the Super Bowl. Russell is way more expensive than Brady was. And you got to get out of the contract. Just to get out of it. The Bucs maneuvered a little bit. Like, they borrowed in 2020. They borrowed in 2021. Oh, they borrowed in 2022. Like, and then 2023, okay, we'll pay the credit card bill. No, like the Broncos haven't been preparing any of that. No. They thought they were contenders in the AFC West of all places.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucked.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I mean, you look at teams like the New York Giants or even New England.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, though, I think we have to see really what this draft is actually going to play out like. Because, again, let's say there's 6 openings in the NFL for quarterbacks. Because the Giants have tied up a lot of money in Daniel Jones. Like all these mid quarterbacks that are out there. There's quarterbacks that are mid that are making money. Kirk Cousins is a free agent. If he goes back to the Vikings, okay, well, that's a situation that's solved their quarterback situation. There's in the draft, you got the potential first rounders, mind you. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix is now the darling. You have the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels. You have Bo Nix. You have the Michigan quarterback. Like, those are our potential first round picks.
And I have a hard time believing that the Bucs will not get a quarterback in this draft coming up. I can't see any reason why
it's like the tackle thing in 2020, right? It's like the right one kind of has to be there, and if it's there, then you do what you need to do. But
don't reach.
And who do I trust to do that, Gene?
Jason Light. They've got the talent. The talent evaluators are all on the ground right now.
You're telling me Jason Light doesn't know everything about an LSU quarterback? How many dips of the toe or Washington, mind you? How many you talked to what are his favorite 2 places? You have the Heisman winner and the underdog Tampa native, mind you, who is everyone's darling and took a Washington team to the Pac-0, taking them to the national championship. They didn't beat Alabama. They beat Texas.
Yeah.
Like,
thank goodness.
He beat Caleb Williams. He beat Bo Nix twice. You're telling me someone's not going to take a chance on the kid? Yeah, he's a little bit older and he's got a hurt knee. Joe Burrow had an ACL problem. Like, not every quarterback that comes into the NFL is 21 years old. Anthony Richardson comes in 21, and what happens? He tears his ACL. Okay, what's the difference between doing that a senior year in college and a rookie in the NFL? You know what I mean? Like, again, a 22 or 23-year-old quarterback, and also there was COVID that affected all these players too in their eligibilities. So I'm not saying, like, you have 6 potential first-round picks. There's not going to be that many openings, which is why I think personally, taking Baker Mayfield's situation to the side, it's there's a true opportunity to do what everyone's saying. Don't do it to Mike. If you can do it to Mike Evans, you can do it to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, definitely.
Let him test free agency. If someone wants to pay him $25 million, if Light is like, okay, Glazers, we have the state income tax on our side.
Exactly.
I think Mike Greenberg can make this work. Let's submit an offer for 27.5. Someone offers 30. Okay. Well, now we have to think about it. If it gets stupid, there's always the franchise tag, which I don't think is going to happen because I think that's going to go to Antoine if they can't reach a deal. But like you have all of these scenarios to where, again, you're not paying Devin White $20 million a year, so there's extra money that you didn't have before. Like you're not beholden to one scenario of where everything's going to work out. You have a bunch of different options. Yeah. And that's what's really intriguing about, and everyone's saying like, what's the best situation to go to? I mean, other than probably having the number 1 overall pick and probably another top 5 pick in Chicago, and you can kind of have a little bit more there. What situation is really better than the Bucs?
I know. And I think once you secure Mike Evans and you've got Chris Godwin, I mean, that this is a ideal landing spot for a lot of teams.
Antoine's got a blank check, and Tristan Wirfs is about to have a blank check. Like, those two aren't going anywhere. Those are your biggest priorities. And we've already seen no one wants to pay Levante David, so if he does want to play, well, there you go. And we've already seen KJ Britt's
I would love to see him. I would love to see him retire as a Buck. That would make me so happy.
But so Bud's mentioning about how mad would you get if we signed Devin? Well, Devin's not making what he would make on the 5th-year contract. And this was floated out this morning by Josina Anderson. Let's say Bill Belichick was Jason Light's move all along. That's who he wanted to bring to Tampa. Bill Belichick saw Devin White, loves Devin White, brings back Devin White. Who do you think is going to get more out of Devin White? Todd Bowles, or what you've seen for the past 5 years, or Bill Belichick and what he's done with no names, much less someone as talented as Devin White?
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean,
I'm just floating out a scenario that if Devin does come back in that type of situation, which I don't think Devin's going to come back, because why would Devin want to come back? He's already said like, "Oh, trade me. I'm too good. Like, I want this money."
I don't think that the free agency is not going to be too kind to him this year.
Humbling. Ask Jameis Winston what free agency can be like when you say check your stat sheets and what comes around.
Yeah. And then you've got somebody, you've got KJ Britt that comes in and sound tackler.
Take your job at Todd Bowles as an enabler.
Yeah. Just sound overall presentation across the board. There's not a whole lot you can really do. Just again, this is going to be an interesting game, folks. I hope you guys can, just enjoy the game. This is the last game of the regular season. If we are fortunate, this team can go into the playoffs and we'll have more games to see. But again, enjoy this football. This is the last you're going to see until next year, next fall. So make this all count. And again, I am looking forward to this game to see what Tampa's going to end up doing. This has been a weird season because it's been up and down, but I think, a lot of questions remain to be answered going into the offseason. So enjoy this for what it is right now.
I just can't believe I'm saying those questions going into the offseason are less about Baker Mayfield and more about the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think at this point Baker's done enough. I don't think he deserves more than the Geno contract, but the Geno contract to me is on the table. Personally, and everyone knows I didn't want to re-sign that puppy. I thought he was a good 1-year stopgap, but with the right hands at the helm. Again, you tell me Todd Monken's coming in, that Geno contract looks pretty nice. Yeah. Or you trade up for Jaden Daniels or something crazy. Because you already seen what he did with Lamar.
I mean, and let me ask you this. Do you bring Baker back and then you draft your quarterback to sit? Or how does that work? Or how can that work? Because like right now, currently, I think the Bucs are sitting at 20 the Bucs would be sitting at the 20th pick in the draft if when all is done and said. If everything ended right now, no playoffs or anything, just where the Bucs
Well, they'd be under, Gene, because remember the top 14 teams make the playoffs, so the best that they could be is 17.
Okay. So I was thinking like 17, 19, somewhere off in there. So, I mean, because right now, what I'll tell you I know about Jason Light is whatever draft position he's in, it's not a guarantee that the Bucs are going to stay in that draft position. They can move up or they can move down. So, it just kind of depends on where they are. So yeah, what you're saying. So 17, you're thinking possibly 17, 17th pick. I mean, just right now, we don't know how they're gonna shake out.
Again, there's going to be teams probably in the AFC that have a better record than us if we lost. So that would be the highest that we could be is 17 because the first 14 slots are going to just the playoff team. So you take 32 minus 14 is 18. So the 17th pick is if you have the best record to not make the playoffs. The Bucs would not have that if they lose because one of the Saints or Falcons is going to win that game. And then it goes down to tiebreakers if you have the same records and all of that type of fun stuff. Or if let's say it's the Vikings that they're tied with.
Yeah.
Okay, the Bucs beat the Vikings, so that's good. But they lost to, or let's say they're with like Seattle, and Seattle has the time. Like, you know what I mean? There's all of those types of scenarios that, like, I'd probably say a good range is between 14 and 17 is probably just safe if the Bucs lose. But I really don't think the Bucs are going to lose, Gene. But that's the thing. If Todd Bowles wins this game 6-3 and then loses by 30 in the playoffs, I think he could still.
Or is there a chance we can fire up the U-Hauls for Todd Bowles then?
Well, if that situation happens, but if Todd Bowles only beats the Panthers by 3 points, that playoff game is not his. If he beats the Panthers by 20 and then gets blown out in the playoffs, that's a different narrative. If you barely squeak by or lose to the Panthers, then get blown out, that's not a
whole lot you can do. You just gotta see what happens. But again, I'm at a point right now where I just want to see how this all plays out, man. It's going to be fun. This has been a fun season compared to other seasons, and you just don't know what you're going to see. I'm hoping that we see a dominant team come out there and do some things. So everybody get out there and enjoy it. So KB, I appreciate you being on, man. We'll definitely talk about next season, how all that's going to play out as we get closer and closer to that time. Hopefully, if you're in Tampa, I will be in Tampa from the 18th to the 28th, hanging out with everybody. So, if you get a chance, hit me up on Twitter. You know how to get a hold of me, and we'll make some stuff happen. But KB, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Bucs_Barrett.
Bucs_Barrett. Anything you want to say? Any final parting shots here?
Walk the plank if you lose, Todd.
Yep. It's kind of looking that way. All right, guys.
Again, I don't think they're going to lose, but if you do lose, there is no, rope hanging from that noose anymore. Like you're screwed.
Yeah. And you know what? I will help him move gladly. So there's that. So
I don't like helping people move on my worst enemies, man. I've learned how expensive it is to hire movers, but I've also learned how much less stress and less headache I have from hiring movers.
Yeah. Well, you can reach me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I'll follow you back on the artist formerly noted Twitter X. I want to shout out Bud Cannibalist, Mr. Everything Bucs, King Cook, Christopher Cole, David Wash, thank you so much. Nestor Cervantes is always coming in, bringing it. And, I love this. Stabby Inc., thank you so much. Everybody that's come in and contributed in the chat, thank you so much. I enjoy this. I enjoy doing it. And, I will say again, I'm not an NFL insider. I'm wrong a lot of the time, but I love talking football. So that makes up for a lot of it. And this is a safe zone. I'm not going to badmouth anybody about your opinion. As Mr. Everything Buck says, fire them cannons, make it happen. And ultimately, this will be just, these next couple, this game right here is going to make or break, and we'll see what we go from there. And we'll just continue to talk about Bucs, and you can catch us here next week, and we'll be doing the same thing again. Hopefully they get Mike Evans taken care of and Antoine Winfield Jr. And for all you people that are griping about the Pro Bowl, it's always been that way. If you're a Bucs fan, you already know it's always been that way. So nothing new to me. It's just how people look at it. The fact that Buda Baker, and I'm not going to, people can say, oh, you love Buda. I love Buda Baker when he was drafted. I thought he was going to be a Buck, but didn't happen. You look at what his stats are now. What have you done for me lately? You cannot even put him in the same room with the Antoine Winfield Jr. So I'm going to say that. And ultimately, I mean, even a
not just Buddha too. I know Buddha's getting thrown under the bus, but like the Seattle Julian Love, I'm sorry, he doesn't compare either.
No, not at all, not even close. So again, we gotta just enjoy what we have here. I mean, I know we're spoiled by Mike Evans, and every season that we can have a Mike Evans on this team, and you get to watch him play. You got to enjoy it. So, just keep that in mind. And everybody have a great week. Stay out of trouble, and we'll see you on Sunday. I may actually go live during the game on Sunday just to kind of talk about it. So look for that. It may happen. But anyway, we're out of here. Peace.